You've probably heard this story, right? The man who sells his soul to the devil. But what if we look at it through a more modern and, frankly, a more terrifying lens? What if it's not just a myth, but a blueprint for a kind of spiritual foreclosure? Okay, let's dive into this dark and absolutely fascinating psychological takedown.
I mean, that's a chilling question, isn't it? Because foreclose implies a process, a strategy. It's not some random temptation, it's a calculated transaction with terms and conditions. And to really get it, we've got to go back to a very specific time, a time of profound spiritual crisis.
So, let's set the scene. This isn't just a map. Think of it as a psychic landscape. We're in Reformation Germany, an era where the very foundations of faith are cracking wide open. This chaos, it created the perfect hunting ground, an atmosphere thick with anxiety, just perfect for finding a target who's already in what our source material calls severe spiritual peril.
Okay, so in this turbulent world, who is the perfect mark? We're about to build a psychological profile of our guy. He's a charismatic scholar, maybe even a disillusioned priest. But the bottom line is, his soul is uniquely, tragically vulnerable to a hostile takeover.
And it all really boils down to his internal wiring, his psychological architecture, you could say. You've got two critical fault lines running right through the core of his being. First, a towering, brilliant intellectual pride, and second, a deep, corrosive, existential fear. These two things, these are the levers that are going to be used to pry his soul loose.
Now, what's so fascinating is how these two forces are at war with each other. On one hand, you've got this incredible intellectual pride, the arrogance of a scholar who's just obsessed with finding forbidden knowledge to transcend his own humanity. But right underneath all that is a profound existential fear. He's got this intense anxiety about grace, about damnation, and it's all born from the religious turmoil of his time. This deep internal split creates the perfect opening for an attack.
And that, of course, brings us to the predator. See, Mephistopheles here isn't some cartoon devil offering a bag of gold. No, he's a master strategist. He's performing what the source calls psychological surgery. He uses his wit, his skill with words, to design this perfect, two-pronged assault tailored specifically to our scholar's psyche.
So, attack number one goes straight for his pride. It's the promise of Gnostic certainty. Think about it. For a man drowning in doubt, what could possibly be more tempting than a promise of definitive knowledge? To know the secrets of creation, to understand predestination for sure. The goal here isn't to enlighten him, it's to replace his faith with what's called the heresy of absolute knowing, to make him feel totally independent of God.
And the second line of attack? It goes right for his fear, his feeling of powerlessness. And it's the illusion of freedom, a promise of a life with no rules, no constraints from the church, no mortal limits. But this is the trap, isn't it? This promise of total liberation, it's actually a self-destructive path designed to lead him straight into total servitude. It's a beautiful, broken promise.
So here's the really brilliant part, how these two temptations work together. Gnostic certainty offers freedom from doubt, which strokes his massive ego. And unrestricted freedom offers freedom from authority, which soothes his deepest fears. You put those two together, and you've got an absolutely irresistible proposition for a proud, anxious intellectual. It leads him, with this kind of chilling, tragic inevitability, right to the pact.
Now let's talk about the pact itself, because this is not a negotiation between equals, not even close. The whole thing is framed as a predatory financial transaction, a dangerous, high-interest spiritual loan. And the terms? They're crystal clear, non-negotiable, and they are 100% designed for default.
And this image just nails the core idea. Look at those scales. On one side, you get a finite, temporary period of gain. On the other, the infinite, eternal value of your soul. It's a catastrophic imbalance, and it's engineered that way from the very start. It's really a profound warning against both arrogance and a kind of spiritual and financial illiteracy.
Let's break down the fine print, shall we? The principle? That's what he gets. A limited time enjoying all the knowledge and power he's ever craved. But the collateral? Oh, that's just the infinite value of his soul, which requires a complete and total surrender when he dies. The imbalance between those two terms means one thing. Default isn't a risk, it's a guarantee.
And just like any predatory loan, sooner or later, the bill comes due. This is the climax. This is the moment the transaction is finalized and the tragic foreclosure process really begins.
The signature in blood. I mean, this is it.
This is the point of no return. It is a conscious, deliberate choice to accept the terms. He's trading the eternal for the temporary. He is willingly signing away the ultimate collateral for a loan he was always destined to default on.
And the result is as brutal as it is inevitable. His little season of make-believe power comes to an end. The debt is called in, and the soul is foreclosed upon. That beautiful illusion of freedom is shattered and replaced by what it was always designed to become, an eternity of servitude.
So now that we've seen all the individual pieces, let's just zoom out for a second and look at the entire strategy from start to finish. This is the anatomy of a spiritual takedown.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly, step by step. You start with the right environment, that anxious, chaotic Reformation Germany. Then you find the perfect target, our proud, fearful scholar. The predator designs the two-pronged attack. The bait, certainty and freedom, is perfectly tailored to the target's psychological weak spots. The trap is the diabolical pact, framed as that predatory loan. And the end is the inevitable, tragic foreclosure. It's a chillingly effective process.
You know, in the end, the real power of this story, the thing that makes it so timeless and terrifying, is its profound understanding of human psychology. The old saying is true. The devil really is in the details. The specific, personal details of our own secret fears and our own deepest desires.
And I just want to leave you with this final thought from our source material. The greatest trick, the most effective temptation, isn't some grand offer of all the world's power. No, it's the quiet, surgical precision of finding that one empty space inside a person and making an offer that feels like salvation, but is in fact damnation. So what void would you be tempted to fill?